What is the most infuriating case of double standards you've come across? For purposes of this story, I have two little brothers. They do not share mothers. We were eating breakfast with the mother of one of them. The other one is a picky eater. He has issues with texture, but he never complains. Just powers through as best he can. She got up to get coffee, and they traded plates. Her BO son had almost cleaned his, and her stepson had eaten about half before the trade. Then they both got up and took their plates to her like they'd finished, and she accepted them both as done. You see, when her BO son says he's full, she believes him. When her stepson says he's full, she doesn't. So they made it look like the step had eaten more because they knew the BO's plate would be accepted in any condition. I never told them that I know they did this and probably have for a while. But I love that they figured a way around her double standards. School always calls me the mom. Teachers always call me the mom. When I changed the primary number to my husband's number, they were confused that he picked up and asked him to verify my number for future reference. They never bother or ask or complain to my husband. Only me, the mom. Does anyone have a link to the story of a guy whose child almost got kidnapped? It was a story where a man was waiting for his wife outside a store with their child in a stroller. A woman just walks up, screams that he's kidnapping her child, grabs the stroller, and calmly walks off. The man got tackled and beat by everyone there, to the point of having broken ribs, and all the while he was screaming that the baby was his and she was the kidnapper. It was only stopped because the wife came out and confronted the woman, who just calmly let go of the stroller and walked off without anyone stopping her. When the police got there, the husband was reprimanded for looking suspicious. My high school English teacher would hear something even remotely phone-like and explode. Whose phone is that? If no one answered right away, A would pace the desks, and if anyone acted suspicious, she would have them empty their pockets, bags, etc. on the desk. If there was a phone, she confiscated it. If there were any red notifications, she would read them aloud. But every now and again, she would do her whole explosion, then glance down and giggle and say, "Oh, it's my phone," and then text away. Also, she was a terrible English teacher. One of the regional managers goes to state prison for over a year for DWI. If you know anything about Texas DWI laws, that means he got caught multiple times, comes out of prison, immediately transferred to corporate and made a director. Brand new employee is rear-ended in stop/go traffic on the highway. No injuries, but forced to take a drug test. Fails for weed. Immediately fired. Someone posted on Reddit once, and it really made me laugh, so it stuck with me, that a woman he worked with would make fun of him and call him chicken legs and stuff, wearing shorts. So he finally called her elephant legs and got into trouble with ours. Middle-aged woman I used to work with was always complaining about her son-in-law, and one day she was complaining to me and saying how he doesn't clean her daughter's car off when it snows, and that is something the man should be doing. And I responded with, "Sure, but how would you feel if you said the same thing about dishes and being something the woman should do?" She paused and then said she never thought of it that way, lol. My mom gets mad at me for being at home all the time and never going over to friends' houses and stuff. I get a girlfriend and a job, so now I'm never home, and she gets pissed off about it. There was a girl that kept putting her hands on me. Every day she would try to touch my balls, grab my ass, slap my ass, etc. I've tried talking to my friends and my teacher that we weren't together, and she's making me uncomfortable, with many of my classmates pop as evidence. The teachers just gave her a stern talking to, but she later continued her harassment. Everyone knew I was being harassed, so I decided to give her a taste of her own medicine. After she decided to slap my ass the nth time, I turned around and slapped hers. Needless to say, I was tackled to the floor and was bogged down by the other girls. I explained to said teachers about the many times they witnessed me being harassed by her and did nothing about it. This one time, I placed myself as the harasser and Damp. Now suddenly they care. Luckily enough, they brought both me and Damp, the girl, to the principal's office, and Damp warned us not to do it again or else they'll call our parents. She stopped after that. I went to a small Bible college where we had to sign a contract promising not to drink or have premarital sex while enrolled there. At one point a couple was caught having sex. The guy was put on some sort of light probation. Of course he was still able to play on the school's basketball team, and the girl was immediately expelled. 35 years ago and it still pisses me off. I got detention in high school. No biggie. I did the crime. However, I was scheduled to work, so I asked for detention to be delayed for 1 day. Request denied. I pointed out that football players routinely had theirs rescheduled to accommodate games and practice. Only answer I got was that's different. When my wife puts anything anywhere, it is the place of the thing. If I put anything anywhere, why do I not clean up after myself? Drugs. Just depends if you are rich or poor when you get caught. A girl I dated in high school would often vent to me about her friends' boyfriends doing the same things she would do to me. For example, we'd see each other every weekend. She wanted to see me more often, but we lived 40 minutes from each other. Gas was expensive. I was broke, and I had homework and extracurriculars, so I was busy during the week. She got mad and angrily told me to let her know when I cared enough to pencil her into my calendar. Not too much later, she was on the phone with me, telling me how her friend's boyfriend said the same thing to her friend and what an asshole he was for it. When I called her out, she just made up some crap about how our situation was different. I've heard many stories about men getting judged, shamed, bullied and abused for going into unisex parent rooms to change their kid, as if they aren't allowed to provide a basic need for their child in a space meant for both men and women. You say "peacock" and nobody bats an eye, but you say "poopcock" and everyone loses their minds. Most male bathrooms don't have baby changing stations. When I was a school nurse I was always alone with whatever children needed assistance. Even after I would ask for help, new male school nurse started. All of a sudden 3 other people are available just to watch him. I felt terrible for the guy, but literally no one trusted him with the diabetic kid or the kid with the trach alone. Oh, he can't be alone. But me, a woman, was never questioned. Double standards abound. Teachers having sex with their student. Male teachers, statutory rape. Female teachers, a relationship or an affair. My brother can stay overnight at his girlfriend's house for a week. But when I hang out at my boyfriend's house the whole day for 3 days straight, he works far away, and he rarely comes home. My mom gets super mad. I don't even attempt to stay overnight. Obviously, I'm a girl. Edit. He's older and we're in our mid to late 20s in long-term relationships. I know it's weird to some people that we still live with our parents, but this arrangement is actually the norm in our country. Me and a classmate wrote the same answer with different wordings in a test. My classmate got the answer marked wrong. Luckily, because I'm her favorite, I don't enjoy it. I was able to negotiate with her and she changed the mark. Although it's still infuriating that it actually happened in the first place, and yes, she didn't like him at the time. When I was a sophomore, a group of freshman girls all decided to go around racking guys because they thought the reactions were hysterical. I made it very clear, if any of them did that to me, I would slap the shit out of them. Lo and behold, after several other guys were hit and nothing done, one of them surprised me in the hallway and racked me. I promptly slapped her across the face and was sent to the principal's office by a female teacher who witnessed the whole thing. Thankfully, the principal was more understanding and just sent me back to class. Still, whole thing pisses me off over a decade later. Eater, when I say racking, I mean slapping or otherwise hitting someone in the testicles for no other purpose than to cause pain. Probably known under many different phrases or names, but that is what we know it as where I grew up in Texas. Also sack tap, but racking was the phrase that first came to mind. We had a really expensive camping trip in middle school. Get to this place and the girls' rooms are in camp. Thick clay walls. Fridges. Plugs. Totally fucking decked out. The boys' cabins? A 15-minute walk away from the main place. And right next to a dam. The walls were cardboard and the place had more holes than a block of Swiss cheese. I still feel robbed. In work. If I'm 5 minutes late they will certainly let me know about it. But if I stay behind 15 minutes later than my finish, not even a mention. My mom got upset at me for something unreasonable. She called me and was instantly shouting over the phone. I was angry in return. And both my parents were upset that I could possibly be upset with them because they do everything I could ask for, including the basic requirements to raise a child, not including any sort of emotional support of course, and providing numerous mental health problems. The next day, my dad was talking to me and explained she was just upset, and that if you start a conversation angry and fighty, then the other person will be defensive reactively, meaning I was instantly angry with her and she was just being defensive. I took this as an opportunity to prove I wasn't in the wrong at all. I explained to him that he's right, but when I picked up the phone, she was instantly shouting. So I reacted defensively. So isn't it wrong how she acted? He said something along the lines of, well, but she's your mom, his go-to excuse for her, as if that clears her of all wrongdoings. Edit. Oh boy. Didn't mean to trauma dump. My bad. Edit 2. Wow. A lot more people resonated with this than I thought. Woke up to like 40 messages. For any of you going through the same or a similar thing, feel free to talk about it. I can't get a doctor to sterilize me, although I've been repeatedly requesting it for over a decade now. My ex went into his doctor once and got it done the same week. Edit. Thanks to all kind responses. I'm Dutch, so it's different here from the States. We don't have lists of doctors who do these procedures willingly, as no doctor would want to be on that list here. I'm going to try again at the end of this year. I'm not on birth control at the moment, and I hope that'll kinda force their hand a bit more. I've also done plenty of research and have a long list of reasons written out. As I'm over 30 now, I hope to have at least a shot. Edit 3. Thank you kind internet stranger for the gold. I never thought this would blow up like it did. Holy cow. The poor guy who just posted in another subreddit that he and his wife don't want more children. She wants to go off birth control, but he is not comfortable having a vasectomy. Said he was perfectly fine using condoms. She laid down an ultimatum about vasectomy or no sex. He chose no sex and the wife is mad. So many people in the comments saying he needs to have the vasectomy. Like, if a husband said the same thing to his wife, everyone would be up in arms. My body, my choice doesn't just apply to women. Men deserve body autonomy as well. FYI, I'm female. Edit. I'm not here to debate if you think he's right or wrong. What I'm pointing out is the goddamn double standard that, if the genders were reversed, he would be getting ripped apart worse because he'd be demanding the same thing, a medical procedure done that she didn't want. Why is that different? It's not. Edit 2. The number of you that are okay with essentially forced sterilization is just fucking astounding. Yes, a vasectomy is less invasive. Yes, a vasectomy is reversible, but it is way more invasive, and I just read the average cost for a high success rate is $8,700. He is not forcing her to remain on birth control. He was fine using condoms, which when used correctly and combined with other methods, spermicide, have almost zero failure. She is the one who issued the ultimatum. There are also other ways to have intimacy and achieve sexual satisfaction without PIV sex. If she is the one who doesn't want more children, then she is the one who needs to make that decision. I posted my story below, but that's basically what I did. I have one biological child who was an accident. I didn't want kids. My ex-husband and I decided we didn't want more. He has 2 older children from his first marriage. We talked about a vasectomy, and while he didn't outright refuse, he kept putting it off and didn't get it done. So I made the decision, with his support, to have the ESHA procedure done. Now 11 years later, I'm very happily small child free, and he is 51 with a 1-year-old. I hate to say it, but marriages dissolve. Situations change. Forcing him to make a permanent alteration to his reproductive ability is not okay. Got written up for wearing nice shorts to work. In a knit position. No customer facing roles at all. My female manager and all other women in the company were permitted to wear any type of dress or skirt. My manager always wore her athletic skirt she worked out in. It was less than knee length. Fuck you Black Hills energy. A couple of popular girls from my school used to heavily bully unpopular boys from the same school. They'd message them as if they were interested in making out and arrange to meet. Then, they'd beat the shit out of the poor boy and pole him. Meaning 4 girls would grab the boy by his limbs, open his legs and run him into a pole. They were 18 years old at the time and typically did this to younger boys, around 16. Imagine the gender roles were reversed here. If there's any issue big or small at daycare or school, they call the mom first. Had an opportunity to go to Montreal on a work trip. It was supposed to be a reward for those employees who had just finished a major project. My boss calls me into her office and tells me she knows I played the biggest role in the project on the team, but that she's sending our female summer student, who hardly touched the project, instead because we needed to show company diversity at the conference and there were too many males going. When we bought our house my wife set up all the utilities. I'm on the spectrum. I really hate dealing with that stuff. Bills. Money. I go to work and earn the money. She does the budgeting and makes sure everything gets paid. It's crazy to me how often a company will have to have me get on the phone to make a change or whatever on an account that she set up. I'm the husband, so I must be in charge of the finances. When I passed my driving test, I had about 3 years no claims bonus with motorbikes that no insurer would let me use for a car. I guess it makes some amount of sense because they are different vehicles of different sizes with different risks. What makes absolutely no sense is how having my motorbike stolen should negatively impact my premiums for car insurance when the difference in stealing a bike vs a car is vastly different and I was living at a completely different address in another city. Yet I'm still forced to pay increased premiums for 5 years. If having a bike stolen is relevant to increasing car insurance premiums, how is riding one safely for 3 years not relevant to reducing them? Insurance is a fucking racket. In Sweden we had a male celebrity get arrested for having sex with a prostitute. There was massive outrage, and he got cancelled very hard, losing all his business etc. A couple of months later there are a number of female influencers advertising about a clinic where they get some sort of sex treatment and their description is something like it was amazing. I was squirting so hard and had so many orgasms. This sparked a very short-lived debate about whether or not this was also prostitution. Pretty funny considering the feminists in Sweden consider all prostitution to be rape. But in this case it seems to be something beautiful and wholesome. Edit. Here's an article about it. A teacher at my old school used to almost shout at a boy for asking a question. And when a boy talked during class she sent them to the principal. And then some girls start shouting and she asks them what is going on. Honey, do you need some help? My old friend's mom flipped out at me whenever I swore. Even something like damn or ass. Meanwhile because it was her house, she said fuck and shit probably 1,000 times a day. Someone at work had a crush on me because he thinks I'm pretty. Everyone is supportive of him and they even encourage him to court me. When I told them I didn't like him because he's not that attractive, they got upset with me. They are telling me to give him a chance and that I should not decide on liking someone based on looks. How come I was the only one getting the heat when both of our feelings are just based on each other's looks? High school dress code. A girl can sleep with dozens of guys in a year and she's a slut. But I go out and do the same thing and all of a sudden I'm gay? I used to work at a really progressive company with lots of different personalities, which was very good for me, I might add. I'm a straight white guy and had a coworker who was gay. He was a jerk to everyone, but people found him hilarious, seemingly because he was gay, so they let the straight up mean things he would say and do slip by. He would say things like, well, of course you messed that up. You're a man. Or why would I ask you, a man, to handle this for me? No thanks. Before I realized that he was just a mean guy, I would try to join in the banter when he would take a shot at me and fire one back at him. In jest, he reported me to my manager saying that I was being offensive to him, and I got reprimanded. After 2 to 3 instances of him not being able to take a joke, I realized that I should just literally never talk to him unless it is 100% work related. But the double standard of him being able to say anything because no one at the progressive company wants to reprimand the gay guy while the straight guy can't say those things really bothered me. When a mom takes her kids to the park, nobody cares. When a dad takes his kids to the park, everyone stares and asks the kids where their mommies or if they are safe. Makes me angry. Ukrainian men between 18 and 60 are banned from leaving their country right now. While that is already a double standard, the infuriating part is that what our media are mostly talking about is how this affects the women who now have to leave their country on their own, while the men themselves who are forced to stay behind are hardly mentioned. Edit. A lot of people responded, but men are physically stronger. But men are expendable. But women are biologically more valuable. Sperm is cheap. Eggs are expensive. Yes, I know, and I agree. But that's not my point. On the other hand, why do women demand in some countries to be allowed to join the military? Close bracket. My point is that when men get killed in this war, it is viewed as something that affects women only, as if a man's life doesn't have a value of its own. Whenever something bad happens, a lot of people only focus on how it affects women. And still women are oppressed and men are privileged. Some stupid dude slaps a woman's butt in a bar. Rightfully she turns around and slaps his face. People notice and has thrown out. Now let's switch it up, shall we? Woman slaps a guy's butt in a bar. He turns around, slaps her face, and is not only thrown out, but has charges pressed against him. Fuck that. Be it sexual assault or just plain violence. The idea that it is worse if the victim is a woman is just beyond stupid. But men have a physical advantage herder. So, if I attack a dude twice my size and get my ass handed to me, no one presses charges against him just because he's stronger than me. Conversely, me being assaulted by someone bigger than me doesn't make the assault worse in the face of the law. Think. God damn it. My daughter's basketball team needing to plead with the boys who took all the balls at halftime and wouldn't let them warm up. No chance that would happen the other way around. Spoke to coach and he was indifferent. Fucking ridiculous. When I was about 16, my dad, a Baptist missionary pastor, once preached a 2-hour sermon on the perils of pornography and how absolutely evil it was. Gotta save yourself for marriage, etc. He had also beaten the shit out of me for catching me with porn a couple months prior. That same night, when we got home from church, he asked me to bring him his phone that he'd left in the car. I opened it to find months of daily porn watching in his internet history. Real mayo. The post above me was literally a dude asking for advice, thinking he cheated on his GF. When he was drugged at a party and some woman raped him on the bed he tried to take a nap in, while he was too drugged and drunk to resist. The double standard in rape victims holds very well even today, and men have a hard time swing justice by the legal system, even for severe cases. Objectifying celebrities. I don't know if he cares, but anytime I see Henry Cavill on a talk show or interview and they start objectifying him, I cringe so fucking hard. The good old classic. Women hitting men. I was the youngest child, only boy in the family, growing up, and my sister would physically harass me. Normal sibling stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I used to go to my mom crying about my sister hitting me or physically harassing me. She's older and bigger than me. My mom instead would yell at both of us to stop hitting each other, you two, or knock it off. When I'm the victim, I caught on. So I took matters into my own hand and defended myself. I'd get my ass tore up from the floor up. Were the ass whoopings worth it? Any day of the week. Even though I was younger and was physically smaller, I'd suffer consequences due to the fact I'm a boy. The men that get hate for pointing out double standards in this thread. A woman can buy all sorts of sex toys and it's pretty normal. But when a guy wants to buy an ass blaster 8000 with built-in constrictive orgasms and naturally lubricating walls, he's a freak. My wife can be out with the kids at parks or shopping and no one bats an eye. When I do, I get death glares from hell. My wife can correct another kid's mean behavior and no one cares. When I do, I have to chill out because it's not my kid. Also, dads spending time with their kids is called parenting, not babysitting. Male R**PE is played for laughs in comedy. When my dad lit up cigarette hash 2 of 3 during a 20-minute talk about the dangers of smoking and how he'd kick my butt if I ever started. Meanwhile, I had asthma and chronic bronchitis from all the secondhand smoke in the house. When women physically/mentally abuse the men in their lives, people always ask what he did to deserve it. Comment on someone's height and no one bats an eye. Comment on someone's weight however and you're insensitive. Weight, for the most part, can be changed. Height cannot. Women who are single/virgin are seen as independent or pure, but men who are single/virgin are seen as creepy/insoles. Saw a woman beating the hell, a ton of face slaps, out of a man in front of a nightclub. Also right in front of the police. She caught him in the nose. He pushed her down. The same police that were smiling as he was abused arrested him once he pushed her to the ground. I'm a white guy with a black friend both in the military years ago. One night at work he and I are busting each other's chops. My last name is fairly Italian sounding, so he jokingly says he's gonna start calling me John Rigatoni. Everyone at work laughs out loud at this, including me, so I replied, "Fine. I'm gonna call you Craig Chitlin." My buddy was cracking up, but my supervisor pulled me outside and told me I can't say that. I asked why it was okay that he laughed at rigatoni. He said because it's different. Being a single parent. I was a single dad for a long time. Single mom equals normal. Or maybe a deadbeat dad somewhere. Or maybe a long list of not her fault. Single dad equals WTF, how can you take her kids from her? He must have done something to her. Or she just has to be dead right. Because no way a man would have his kids. I literally had one of my kids' teachers say this to me during parent-teacher conferences. No background. No idea what my situation was. Just assumed I'm a bad person. Stared right at me with a judgmental smirk on her face. When I rejoined the dating scene I had women over and over stop messaging or calling when they found out I had custody of my kid. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video don't forget to drop a like. If you would like to see more content like this in the future, subscribe and turn on notifications to be notified about future videos. Now check out one of these interesting videos.